So hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Guild Wars 2 video, and today we're gonna look at a new healing build for Necromancer. Yes, healing Necromancers, it's just amusing for me. So first of all, we're gonna check out the traits, right? So we're gonna be using two of the new traits, and the build is as follows. 10 in Spite, or 2 traits in Spite. We're gonna get Life Blast grants Might and gain health when you kill a foe. This is great because this is essentially a Life Blast build. So, you know, we're getting Might, we're doing more damage, which is just great. Just great. Then we have Blood Magic, gain regeneration when your health drops below the threshold. That's 90% of your maximum health. Then we're gonna get Transfusion, life transfer, heals nearby allies. That's great. You're gonna do a lot of healing with this one as well. Siphon health whenever you hit a foe. That's not bad, it gives you some sustain. Then we have Ritual Mastery, reduces recharge on wells, which is okay. Blood to power, gain additional power while your health is above the threshold. You will usually be above this threshold, okay? Then we have Unholy Martyr, draw conditions from allies while in Death Shroud, gaining life force each time a condition is drawn. Okay, you get 5% life force per condition. That's great. That's amazing, okay? We want to stay in Death Shroud for as long as possible so we can pull off as many life blasts as possible and just heal as many people as possible. Also, the life force pool acts as a secondary health bar, so you're fairly tanky as well, okay? And we have Soul Reaping, increases life force gain from skills, okay? Life force drains slower while in Death Shroud, 50% less. As I've said before, we want to stay in Death Shroud for as long as possible, so this is a great trait. Then we have gain Spectral Armor when your health falls below the threshold, 50%, you get some protection, and you gain life force while taking damage. Then we have Unyielding Blast, Life Blast, pierces and causes vulnerability. This makes you more offensive, but it also makes you heal more. Because when you don't have this trait, and you're just life blasting away in a Zerg, if you hit an enemy, it stops. If you have this trait, it will fly through the enemy, it will give him 2 stacks of vulnerability, and it might heal people behind that enemy, so that's great. Then we have Strength of Undeath. You do more damage while above the life force threshold, life force 50%. Sometimes you're gonna be there, but you know, it's a passive trait. We can't do anything about it. And then we have Renewing Blast. Life blasts heal allies that it passes through, and the healing is very low because I'm scaled down to level 30. But this is your primary healing ability. Okay, so these are the traits. Now we will take a look at the equipment, the weapons, the sigils, the runes. Okay, so I'm using full-on cleric's gear. Okay, main stat healing power, and you get power and toughness. So you're fairly tanky with this build. You have a lot of healing power, and you have some power as well, so you're doing decent-ish damage, okay? You're not, you know, it's not Zerg stuff, but you're doing decent damage while healing like a madman, okay? You're a vending machine of happiness. You're throwing healing everywhere, even though you're a Necromancer. So, cleric stuff, full on, everything is clerics. Now, I'm using superior runes of altruism, 6 of them, because you get 25 healing. Then when you use a heal skill, you grant 3 stacks of might to nearby allies for 8 seconds. 50 more healing, 10% boon duration, and 100 healing, which is always great. And then when you use a heal skill, grant fury to nearby allies for 5 seconds. This is great, because we don't want to be just a healer, okay? You don't want to stand in the back and just throw in life blasts and heal people. You want to draw conditions from them, you want to convert conditions on them, and you want to give them some boons as well. So you're giving them might and fury every time you use a healing skill. Then I'm using dagger focus and a staff. Dagger is great, it has nice DPS on the auto attack, you have nice self-healing on the 2 skill, you have CC on skill 3, and then you have regeneration on focus, which is great, okay? More healing, good DPS. I'm using Superior Sigil of Life on the dagger, gain charge of +10 healing each time you kill a foe. Okay, so even more healing, 250 healing, always great. And then in my focus and on my staff, I'm using Superior Sigil of Water. 30% chance on hit, heal nearby allies around your target, and it has a 360 radius, which is just great. So I'm using full-on clerics, the superior runes of altruism, Superior Sigil of Life, and Superior Sigil of Water. Now let's take a look at our skills. Now these are my personal preference. I like them this way. You can pick, you can cherry pick different skills if you so desire. So we have a staff, amazing. Okay, we have regeneration here, then we have a nice field over here. This is a poison combo field, and this is a blast finisher. All of these do damage, and then we have some CC with fear. Then if we switch to dagger focus, we have regeneration here, nice amount of vulnerability. We have nice damage on this skill as well. Then we have CC over here and really good self-healing and nice damage on our skill 2 as well. And this is a great life force generator, the auto attack, and it also has a nice amount of auto attack damage. Then I'm using Well of Blood because Well of Blood is awesome. And as you can see, 3 stacks of might, 1 stack of fury, or 1 stack of fury. Then I'm using Well of Power. Target area pulses, converting conditions on allies into boons. So this baby right here, not only is it a dark field, it will also convert conditions into boons on allies, and it grants stability. It's 1 second of stability, but it's stability nonetheless. Then I have Spectral Walk. When you're taking damage, when you're like this, you're taking damage, you're gaining life force, you have swiftness, okay? The swiftness is more important. Also, you can activate it again and it will teleport you to where you started, okay? So let's just say I'm over here, this Moa is looking at me funny, I can activate it, I can run over here, the Moa will run with me, he will look at me funny over here, then I can use it again, I will teleport back, and then I can run away and get an adult, which is great. Then we have Signet of Undeath, generates life force while in combat. That's a great passive. We want life force, as much of it as we can. And the use, revive 3 allies in an area, which is great. Okay, reviving allies is always good. And then I'm using Plague. There's a simple reason for it. When you activate this, you become amazing. You're a super tank, you're unkillable. And you have this, Plague of Darkness. Adds blindness to your plague. So, if I stand over here, and I add blindness, he's blind, he's blind, he's blind, he's blind, he's blind. This is great, especially in world versus world. Okay? I don't like the Flesh Golem, because the Flesh Golem tends to die a lot. And when you activate Plague, you essentially disable 5 enemies on your own. You make 5 enemies useless, because it has the maximum target cap is 5, okay, as has every other skill in Guild Wars 2. So it can only target 5 people at a time. But that's enough. That's enough, okay? If you're there and you have Blind Plague, you're running around and you're blinding 5 people every tick. So those 5 people become useless. And if you have a couple of Necromancers doing this in a World v World Zerg, you're essentially decreasing the numbers of the enemy Zerg. Okay, so if you have 5 Necromancers, all 5 of them are sporting Plague. That means that those 5 Necromancers are essentially getting rid of 25 enemy players, because they're blind all the time. Okay, so that's great, that's amazing, I love Plague. And you become tanky as hell, so you can even use it defensively. If you think you're gonna die, you can either pop Plague, or you can jump into Death Shroud, which is what I'm gonna talk about next. So Life Blast. It grants us might, it causes vulnerability, it pierces, and it heals allies. Okay, with these traits, this is probably the best skill you can get in the game. I feel it's a little bit overpowered, but, you know, doesn't really matter. Then we have Dark Path. If you use it, where's that Moa? Let's use it on the rabbit. It will throw a hand, it will teleport you to the target, it will bleed it, and it will chill it. Then we have Doom, Fear. Okay, then we have Life Transfer. which gives you a shit ton of life force, and it also heals nearby allies. And then we have Tainted Shackles, which is a DOT, or condition I should say, and immobilizes enemies. So that's our toolkit, that's our skill set. Now let's take a look at some World v World and some massive events and see how much we can actually heal as a Necromancer. And eventually I ended up going into a dungeon because it's 11 in the morning, people are at school, people are at work, so it was fairly empty. And I think that this demonstrates what this build is capable of fairly well. So as soon as we start fighting, I pop the Spectral Walk so I can get as much life force as possible. And I'm starting to use my wells. I used my well there before going into Death Shroud, and I just healed everyone up. Okay, they have 3 stacks of might from me, they got fury from me, there is someone whispering me that I should buy gold. Don't pay attention to that. And I'm generally trying to position myself behind everyone, so as my life blasts are going towards the target, or the boss in this case, they are healing all 4 of my group mates. And I'm just jumping in and out of Death Shroud. I usually jump out, I use my wells, I get more life force, and then I jump back into Death Shroud, once again position myself behind everyone, and I'm trying to heal them as much as possible. As you can see, we're doing fairly well. Okay, just look at the group HP bars. Okay, they're going up and down, up and down, up and down. We take damage, I heal it back up. Now, when you're out of Death Shroud, when you're generating life force, or when you're just generally waiting for the Death Shroud cooldown, you want to use skill 2 on staff and skill 4, which is your first focus skill, to get regeneration rolling on people. Okay, so you have even more healing going on. Then you want to kinda watch out for your well cooldowns. For instance, in this encounter you can see there's a lot of burning. Okay, so when I'm in Death Shroud, I am basically siphoning the burning onto myself, so my group members aren't taking the ticking damage. But when I'm out of Death Shroud, I want to use the Well of Power, so it converts the burning into a useful boon for my allies. I also want to use the Healing Well, so I have even more healing. And generally you want to use skill 4 in Death Shroud. You can use skill 5, it's not doing a lot of damage, but you know, you just click it and then you can life blast away. Now once again we're getting burning, so I'm using Well of Power on cooldown. It converts boons, it converts conditions into boons, and just once again jump into Death Shroud, use skill 4, stand behind everyone and life blast away. And the boss is dead. I think we had 2 downed people, we revived them almost instantly, and that was it. Okay, this build is really good. Now it requires more focus with smaller groups. It's much easier to do in World v World or massive Zerg events, because you don't have to position yourself all the time, because there is always someone in front of you who you can hit with Life Blast. Okay, and if you just throw down your well, it doesn't matter, people are going to run through it, and it once again can only heal 5 people at a time, so it's not that big of a deal. Okay, it's harder to do this in dungeons because you need more focus, you need to be behind people, you need to rotate your things on cooldown. But this is it, this is the build. I like it an awful lot. And that's it from me. I hope you liked the video, and I thank you all for watching and listening. I will see you next time. Bye bye.